McAllister. I call the member for Capalaba.
Speaker, I rise to speak in support of the Community Protection and Public Child Sex Offenders Register, Daniels Law, Bill 2025. This bill bears the name of a young Queenslander that all of us in this state are familiar with, Daniel Morcombe. Daniel was a 13-year-old boy living on the Sunshine Coast who was on his way to buy Christmas presents for his family when he was abducted, murdered by a twice-convicted pedophile. Daniel's killer was allowed to hide his crimes from the community around him, to the extent that even his wife wasn't aware of his past violent offending against children. I want to particularly acknowledge the tireless and courageous advocacy of Daniel's parents, Bruce and Denise, who have been advocating for a public sex offender register for more than a decade to keep kids in our communities safe. The Morcombe family used their experience of unimaginable heartbreak to create the Daniel Morcombe Foundation, which provides child safety education to children across the country, and the annual Day for Daniel sees thousands of Australians dressed in red to raise awareness for child safety. I had the opportunity to investigate this bill and hear from a number of stakeholders and submissions as a member of the Justice, Integrity and Community Safety Committee. The committee made a single recommendation, that was to pass this bill. This bill delivers on the Crisafulli's commitment to put the rights of victims over the offenders and establishes a public register for sexual predators that target the most vulnerable and innocent in our communities. We cannot allow those who endanger our children to roam around our communities incognito and potentially be in a position to offend again. Speaker, we currently have an existing non-public protection register administered by the Queensland Police Service under the Child Protection, Offender Reporting and Offender Prohibition Order, Act 2004. This contains a range of personal details about child sex offenders and particular offenders who pose a risk to the lives of children, referred to as reportable offenders. Reportable offenders are required to keep police updated on their whereabouts and personal details for a set period of time. Failure to comply with these reporting conditions that are set under the same Act is an offence. The new Public Child Sex Offender Register will build on the existing register while allowing the broader community to become aware of reportable offenders that may encounter and safeguard their child using that information. This releasing of information relating to reportable offenders will take place in 3 tiers. Firstly, through a public website displaying facial images and personal information of reportable offenders who have breached their obligations and whose whereabouts are unknown to the police. The second tier is a locality search, which allows the police commissioner to provide the photograph of particular reportable offenders to an applicant who lives in the general vicinity of the offender. Tier 2 is limited to offenders who pose the greatest risk of reoffending against children. This includes those who offend again after becoming reportable offenders, have reporting obligations imposed for the remainder of their life, and those who the Commissioner deems to be a serious risk offender. The third tier of the register is a parent or guardian. The third tier of the register is a parent and guardian disclosure scheme, where by application, parents can obtain information about whether a person specified in the application is a reportable offender. There's also amendments which will implement strict safeguards to ensure that vigilantism doesn't occur as a result of disclosing through the register. Any information accessed or received through the public register must be treated as confidential and cannot be shared with others. The new offences that target vigilantism-style conduct are intended to curb intimidation or harassment, but, for example, do not include communication between parents of a child made in private capacity for the purposes of safeguarding their child. In line with the existing restrictions, Public Register will not enable the publication or enclosure of the information of offenders. This includes offenders who are under 18 years old, who were under 18 at the time they committed child sexual offences, and have not re-offended or engaged in particular conduct as an adult. Other offenders who are participants in a witness program or who have court prohibits disclosure will also be excluded from that register. Speaker, I echo the sentiments of Bruce Morcombe, who believes that this public register will also act as a deterrent to future would-be offenders who know that their crimes will not remain secret in Queensland for any longer. This legislation is modelled on Western Australia's system, which has been tried and tested over more than a decade. Along with many other members of the Justice, Integrity and Community Safety Committee, I travelled to Perth to see West Australia's system in operation and to hear from their experiences in administrating a register such as this. West Australia's register has prevented countless potential incidents by increasing public awareness of reportable offenders and by assisting parents to make the fully informed decisions about their children, about who their children interact with. Like Western Australia, South Australia has now passed laws establishing a public child sex offender register. Both of those jurisdictions operate a three-tier disclosure system, as will Queensland, with some variations that are specific to each state. Speaker, the Public Register of Child Sex Offenders has been created with critical safeguards to ensure that it operates only as intended in this legislation. This bill represents a crucial step forward in protecting Queensland's children and restoring trust in our justice system. The Public Child Sex Offender Register will empower families to make more informed decisions about who their children interact with, allowing parents and carers to take protective steps to keep their loved ones safe. I commend this bill to the House.
Thank the